What are the shifts? What makes the difference between a 7-figure founder and a 6-figure founder? In this video, we're going over 3 key shifts. My name is Jennings. I consult 6- and 7-figure founders. I've been there myself. I can understand the differences. This is going to be a no fluff video, no edits, no fancy music, just me simply talking about the main shifts I see so you can apply it to your business and grow it fast. So let's talk about number 1, revenue milestones and identity shifts. This is such an underrated topic because a lot of times you'll have these videos where they talk about only tactical strategies to grow. But that's not the root cause, is it? Because the root cause for the founder is how they're making decisions and how they're leading the company forward. And so what happens is they don't shift their identity. They're used to $20,000 a month. They want to go to 85, 100, which is $1 million, which is a 7-figure, and they don't shift their identity. And so they have the same mindsets, beliefs, and decision makings at 20,000, expecting to get to 100,000. And it doesn't work like that. And so at every revenue milestone, there's going to be the past you and the future you. There's going to be the you here that wants to go here and the revenue you want to make. And for us to have it push us, for us to have it take us to a higher level, we have to shift our identity. We have to shift who we are internally. And a lot of founders neglect this. They think it's bullshit. They think it's dumb. I have been there. It's trapped me too. And so when you hit specific income levels, it messes with your mind in really weird ways. You can, and this is nervous system stuff, this is subconscious mind stuff. If you're normally used to 20,000 and you pop off and give a $50,000 a month, 2 weeks into a month, you're probably going to stop working. 99% of the time, you're going to spend foolishly. You're going to do things that are uncharacteristic to you because you're not used to this new level of standard and your mind is messing with you. It can also hurt you in a lot of different ways. It can also put you in a trap of, and I'm sure 99% of you, if you're an established founder, have been there, you're not worthy of this, you got lucky, you're looking at the people in Starbucks and you just made their annual income in like a day, and it really can mess with you. And so we need to be consciously aware that this new identity, this new level, and this new shift of income is going to push us forward. It's going to drive us. It's going to make us have more revenue, have more money. Because if we're not, it's going to trap us. And so we have to be very conscious that this is the new normal. This is the new standard. This is not a fluke. This is something we've earned. This is the new standard. And you're building the infrastructure. If you're just focused on income and take home, then you're going to spend it foolishly, which is going to hurt your ability to get to the next level. Because when you're going through growth of revenue at each level, it's going to take capital and resources invested wisely to get you to the next level. You can't take home the same amount of percentage at every level and expect to grow. It doesn't work like that because you need more people, you need more software, you need iterations, you need resources to deploy and capital to deploy to get you to the next level. You also need to really get out of the weeds in certain aspects. And a lot of founders are very addicted to being in the weeds because they have very low confidence that they can find people to replace them doing certain things. Time resource, money resource. And so that mindset is going to hold them back because you have to rely on people as you scale. Like, people is everything. People make the business. And so the clear behaviors we can see when it is pushing you to go to the next level is you delegate with clarity and authority. You invest, right? That resource, you're not spending foolishly, you're spending wisely on talent systems and decision-making frameworks. The more you grow and the more your company becomes bigger, you're going to have better decision-making. And you're going to have a heightened, talk about identity, a heightened perspective on long-term plays. When you're starting out, every decision and every perspective you have is basically day-to-day. It's like, how are we going to make money today? How are we going to grow today? As you grow and as you get bigger, it turns into weeks, months, years, and decades. And so when you change your perspective and time length on decision making, you need better frameworks to keep you in check. Because if you need to be making a decision that's going to affect the company for the next 5 years, and you're stuck in the day-to-day decision-making framework that you currently have, your past identity, it's going to hurt you. You're going to make bad decisions. And so it needs to be seen as a multiplier, not a reward. And here are some behaviors of when you're trapped, like an identity freeze. It's fear. It's worry. It's unworthiness. You're like, holy shit, I just made so much money this month. I'm going to go spend it. Is this a fluke? Was I unlucky? Like, all of these weird subconscious flare-ups are going to happen. And this is not just BS. This really, really does happen. I've been in situations, and I'll talk about this more in the video, record-breaking month, I drop back down. Why? I was making these mistakes. I spent foolishly. I didn't invest in that period of time where you're growing and you have to invest in people and systems. And I was making bad decisions. My nervous system was all jacked up. You look at money differently. And so sometimes this can really affect who you become as a founder. And so the best way to do this is to reverse engineer the identity upgrades. Have these mindsets, have these behaviors. It's going to ensure that you don't get stuck in this trap, because it's very easy to do that. You have to keep pushing yourself forward. Number 2, operator to organizer. Now, this is very, very common. I'm probably in the screen a little bit. Yeah. So this is very common for a lot of different people. Is everybody that wants to grow is very obsessed with systems. And they're very obsessed with getting out of the business, which I'm going to talk about in the third, which can actually hurt you. But there's a balance of removing yourself, investing in people, investing in systems, and still being involved. And so, like that mental trap I mentioned in the first part, there's a lot of founders that don't want to delegate because they don't think anybody can do it. I've seen it. $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month. They're like, nobody else can do what I'm doing. It's simply not true. Here's also a really uncomfortable truth that a lot of founders know, and why they neglect becoming an organizer for an operator. They know that to go find somebody, to go train them, to invest in them, it's going to take time, it's going to take money, which in their mind is still a short-term decision-making framework, like I mentioned before, because they're like, it's going to take me a couple months, and it's going to take a lot of time, and it's going to do this, it's going to hurt my business, but it's actually helping you in the long run. And if we want to grow in the long run, we need a wider perspective on our decisions. Because if we just think from day to day, we're never going to scale. We have to have that perspective of investing time, energy, and resources to the longer play. There's always going to be a period, 1, 2, 3 months, where you're doing these investing things to become the organizer, people, systems, etc., where the business is naturally going to stall because you only have so much time and focus to allocate. And if you're the main driver, when you shift those to become the organizer, it's going to take away from the growth of the business. But it's the only way in the long term to set yourself up to grow and to remove yourself and to actually hit 7 figures. And so that's the paradigm. That's the problem most people get into, is they don't want to take that time and stall. They don't want to have a revenue plateau to have things more adjusted, more prepared in the future. And so it really comes down to time allocation and long-term planning. Like we had an example where it's this number C case study. We had a client, $45K a month, 70 hours a week, very, very entrenched. And so we really had to have a hard conversation with, where do you want to go? And are we willing to stall, which is really just prepare for the future, for a month or two while we set up this new position, this new role to take you even further? Of course, the answer was yes. We hired one integrator, extracted him from a lot of the fulfillment, helped systemize delivery, and you grow by doing less time. But again, if we didn't allocate time the right way, if we didn't allocate resources the right way at that period of growth, and we didn't reallocate time, we wouldn't have been able to execute this, and the rut would have continued. That's why people plateau. Very, very simply. And so, if you stay stuck, there's consequences. If you stay as the operator, there's consequences. And again, it comes from the fear that if you do this, it's not going to help grow your business, but it always does if you think long-term enough. And so you're going to have chronic fatigue, right? You're going to burn out. You're going to have resentment. You're going to miss the opportunity to grow because we're thinking too short-term. And so there's a lot of mental shifts around this adjustment. Like, you have to understand the moves that took you to X revenue, you're going to need different moves. You're going to need a different strategy. You're going to need different behaviors, different decision-making, different people to get you to double your revenue. You have to do things differently to get a different result. Einstein. And so we have to wrap our mind around, we have to constantly be evolving to separate and detach and remove ourselves from the day-to-day to help the business grow. Whether it's acquisition, fulfillment, product creation, there's so many different levers depending on the business. This is obviously a broad video for any founder and any business model, but you know in your business, right? There's like 4 or 5 core components and pillars that really drive the business forward. You, of course, need marketing and advertising to get customers. You, of course, need the product or the service to fulfill, and operations to make sure that the wheels are turning, right? Kind of the general premise. And so we need to have different modalities and ways they work to get us to a higher revenue growth. Number 3, do not check out of the business. There's a difference between removing and checking out. And I made this massive mistake when I was growing Phantom. I was averaging like $70,000 a month. And I brought on a sales director, and he brought on a team, and I was like, great, sales is taken care of. Wrong. I detached myself, and this is a very common problem. You want to detach yourself, and you're such in a rush to get systems that you detach to a too radical degree, and it hurts your business. And so I detached completely. I'm like, great, that's handled, got him onboarded, etc. And it hurt the business. Revenue stalled. There were lapses in sales. Our systems were breaking down. You have to be involved, but at the same time, out of the weeds. You have to have your finger on the pulse. You have to still be there to make sure that everything is moving succinctly. You are the pulse of the business, right? You can remove yourself to the highest degree, but the foundation of it has to be yours. You have to be still involved. Zuckerberg has a $1 trillion business. He's still involved, right? He is still the CEO. He's still there. If he's still there, why are you trying to check out? I should have said this to myself. And so it's a fallacy that if you build the right systems, you never have to be involved. You build the systems so you can elevate your involvement, not erase it. 100%. You move from being the engine to being the driver, strategist, and signal caller. Your perspective needs to elevate, but you're still there. You're still with the team. And again, from firsthand experience, you hear all the time about systems and scaling. So you create the systems and you scale, and then you detach completely, and then shit hits the fan every single time. And so no matter what your business is, whether it's a physical product, whether it's a service base, home service, tech, etc., you can basically hire for every key role that you do eventually, right? The advertising can be taken care of with a team, the product creation, etc. But you still want to check in and be in direct contact with the points in the heads of those areas of the business that really drive growth, even though they're qualified, even though they're trained, etc. Because again, you have to lead the ship. The highest perspective of the business always leads the ship. And so when you have people that are brought on just for sales, just for marketing, just for product creation, that's their scope. And so with a smaller scope than you as the visionary, as the leader, it's going to be very hard for them to do what we just talked about in terms of having a heightened perspective and growing things bigger. Their main focus is right now. And so that is the beauty of removing yourself but staying involved, is you now can have a more macro perspective, a long-term perspective to give the people in charge. And that is how you grow. And so this was very general because I want to talk to all businesses. But when it comes down to it, things can be very, very specific. Innovation, very important. Doing things different, very important. Every single level is going to require a different version of you. And that's why I focus on that with my consulting business. It's a personal game. Yes, we talk business, but we also talk personal as well. One-on-one with the founder. And if you're an established founder, you have to be established, doing at least 6 figures a year. If you want to work with us, look at the link in the description below. We'll have an initial conversation. We'll evaluate your business completely for free. And then we'll talk about different growth strategies to use it as well. AI, fulfillment, customer acquisition, whatever can be improved in the business the most, that's what we will target. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.